the thing is, you can get bogged down into all this terminology as a property investor. Essentially, what you're looking for is an organisation to lease your property. You don't need to be at this point, when we're talking at really high levels, you need to be thinking about why you might want to do that rather than understanding the nuts and bolts of it. Once you start getting deeper into it and thinking, yes, I want to do this as a strategy, I want to lease my property to these guys, then you need to make sure you really understand who you're leasing a property to, so you can do proper due diligence on them. But if you're coming to this and you're listening to me today for the first time, you've heard me talk about this, I don't want you to be thinking, oh my God, there's too many words, I don't like this, I'm going to run away and hide. It's not that complicated at this level. You just need to begin to understand. When I first started talking about this quite a few years ago, everyone was told on all the training courses, you want to let your property to young professionals or families who are going to be there forever. And that's who you want to let your properties to. No one was taught about supported living. But a few people were talking about social housing, but generally it was like, oh, we don't really want to do that. Nowadays, it's kind of switched and gone full circle and people are going, oh, this is a really good idea. And that's brilliant, because that's what I wanted when I started talking about it, was people to be excited about it and see it as a great way to invest in property, and see actually that leasing your property to one of these organisations who might lease your property for 5 years, for 7 years, they're going to take that property from you. In that time, you're not going to be responsible for any voids. They're going to lease your property along the lines of a commercial lease. And so actually, they'll often take over wear and tear management of the property. They'll often take over bills. So if you're an HMO landlord, that's really appealing at the moment, particularly with the spikes in utility costs we've seen, as well as the kind of like the pain of managing properties. Even if you've got a good letting agent, actually, you're still having to authorise those repairs and actually, no, let's go with someone else, or let's get another quote on that. All of those things takes time. And actually, if you're handing a property over to a good quality organisation who are going to look after your property, it does take a lot of time away, as well as often ending up being net better off each month. And that's the thing you need to kind of be aware of, as well as this amazing thing that you're doing all of this, you're potentially making a little bit more money each month, and you're making a big difference to the society and your community. That's really powerful, isn't it?
I think definitely. Well, for me, certainly, that's something that. From a mindset perspective, I work on my mindset a lot, and certainly I love working with Bob Proctor, and all of these kind of Think and Grow Rich, and a big thing, isn't it, is giving back. I suppose we call it karma as well, isn't it? The more you give, you might not get it back from the same place, and absolutely knowing that your property is potentially helping these people that really are potentially, either in a short-term dilemma and need that kind of help and support to get through, or have genuine long-term issues that requires this support. And if you can help them, I think that's absolutely amazing. So if we kind of take a step and kind of look at it, because again, it was one of the things with property that I just found so overwhelming for such a long time, thinking of property as a business, because there's just so many different bits, isn't there? There's so many different types of property. There's different strategies that you can do. There's different ways of funding it. I mean, it seemed like not really a rinse and repeat model for me. So if we're going to sort of take a few steps back, so for instance, do you believe that there's a certain type of property? So if we're just to start at the property, I don't know if that's the right place to start, but say for instance, for me, I've just got a buy to let that we're just refurbing at the moment, 2 up, 2 down, in a sort of a small town, and then we've got a hotel. Is that they seem so extreme in what they are physically? Is that still something that you would be talking to potentially very different providers? Or might it be, one provider really likes these kind of terraced houses and another provider wants, this multiple units? So where would you kind of start? Do you start with the property or do you start somewhere else? Is that chicken and egg?
It is real chicken and egg question that about whether you start with the property or the provider. Both ideally, really. But I think, and it depends where you are. If you've got a property, then you use that property and use that to approach providers and see. There isn't one type of property that is the property for supported living. And I think the one that everyone assumes is right for supported living is large HMOs. I seem to have an awful lot of inbox messages. Oh, I've got this 30-bed HMO. It's perfect for supported living. anyone who's managed an HMO will know that you get compatibility issues and you get challenges with standard tenants. So if you have tenants with support needs, those compatibility issues are only going to be amplified. So I would question any provider who was looking to take a property that was that large about whether they could actually manage that, and they weren't actually going to cause a great big issue for the community. And you'd find that actually they'd somehow exercise a break clause and your property be handed back to you. So I think, generally you're looking at, I have providers who want everything from 1-bed flats, 2-bed flats, small houses like you talk about, 2-bed houses, 3, 4, 5-bed houses, family homes. They're very popular for children's homes, so sort of detached family homes or semi-detached homes, right up to blocks of flats are more popular than the large HMOs. So your hotel in its current format, if it's in a kind of hotel format, is probably of less interest to a lot of providers.
So ours is they're all individual studio flats, so they've all got a kitchenette, so they're actually it's like a block of studio flats.
So you might well find providers who are interested in that, absolutely. A lot of the long-term providers where you get the high quality covenants for the leases are looking for full 1-bedroom flat sizes, so sort of minimum 37 metres squared size flats. So they're looking for slightly bigger than those. But there are organisations who will take those small studios as well. So there's not a simple answer in that way. You can see there's a range of different properties that are needed for different organisations.
Okay.